Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. We are live on YouTube, X, and Rumble. You can also check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. Got that community growing like a weed. Really excited about the content we're creating over there. We're joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk some Packers, and we got I think some good topics tonight. I know there's a lot of people ranting and raving for mock drafts. We may do one at the end. We set a goal. Look, if we hit it, if we get close, we might do one if we got time. You know what I'm saying? So if we hit it, we'll definitely do it. You guys will hold our feet to the fire. But there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about, guys. One is wide receivers, right? And kind of narrowing it down to who is that wide receiver that the Packers should be targeting. And I did it with a little bit of a spin of, all right, what was one of the negative caveats of the season last year for the Packers? We all talked about drop passes, right? So we're going to dive into some of the prospects who has the lowest drop percentage. And then also we haven't been talking about three tech near as much as we have when we started going into the draft season. And the reason being is we're kind of switching it up. We're trying to bounce around and look at all the different needs, all the different approaches. And obviously, it's always going to come back to three tech for me. I was very, very vocal during the season. I know Tim was as well. I'm sure Jacob agrees. We got to improve that interior defensive line, especially with Kenny's future up in the air next year. Shout out to Chris M with the first super chat. There you go. That's 1 of 10, baby. 1 of 10. We get to 10. We'll do some mock draft.
Get ready to go.
Let's get into some content here. Put this article together. You can check this out. And also, guys, if you're already on the Patreon group, you'll notice a collections tab. All right. That's not a debt collector. Okay. That collections tab, what that is you can click on it, and every article we created, I go ahead and log them into certain folders. So like if you want to go back and look at defensive tackle prospects, as we get into training camp, if you want to look at what are the top training camp battles, there'll be a section for that. So it's just a way to keep those organized. And of course, when you land on the homepage here at Patreon in our group, you'll see the latest articles that are written. Okay. So what I did was, which defensive tackle should the Packers select at pick 23? Now I'm going strictly off of our board in terms of narrowing it down to 3. And the 3 that I picked, because I think we would all agree, it's going to be, it's highly unlikely Mason Graham is going to be there when we pick at 23. I think we would all agree with that, right?
Yep.
Next on the list is Walter Nolan on our big board, then Kenneth Grant, and then Derek Harmon. Okay, Derek Harmon in the 25 spot, Kenneth Grant in the 19 spot. And then, of course, we had Walter Nolan has now jumped to the number 15 spot. So I took those 3 defensive tackles and just did a little breakdown here. And what we're talking about are 3 key components. And listen, there's a bunch of different stats, a bunch of different analytics we could look at. I tried to narrow it down to 3. And let's kind of look at it and see who we think we would rather have. Just like last night with the wide receivers, guys, before we look at the article, I want to know who is your all's pick between those 3. Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, and Kenneth Grant. I'll let you go first, Jacob. Which one, right off the cuff, when you mentioned those 3 names, you had to pick one at 23. Who would be your guy there, man?
Walter
Nolan. Got
yes,
it.
Sir. Yep.
And for the longest time, we were all on Kenneth Grant, right? I was on him too. Walter would be mine as well. Tim, would you prefer a different one, or do you think Walter Nolan's your guy as well as we go into the study here?
I'm going to be boring. I'm going to say Walter Nolan as well.
Yeah. It's wild too, because that's the guy we started with. Shout out to Brambo. Thank you for the super chat, but I think that's 2 of 10. When we started off in this process, it was Walter Nolan, and we kind of started to steer off of him, right? It's funny because there was no more football played. It wasn't like he tested bad. It wasn't like there was anything that went wrong for him, but all of a sudden you had these other couple guys that seemed to have leapfrogged him. But let's jump into it here. And I try to keep these short and sweet. I'm trying to get better about that. I think more information is better than less, but I don't want it to be too wordy. All it says is the Green Bay Packers head into the 2025 NFL draft with a clear need to bolster their defensive line, especially after a 2024 season where quarterback pressure and run defense remained inconsistent. Sitting at pick 23, general manager Brian Gutekunst has a chance to land a game-changing defensive tackle. 3 standout prospects, Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, and Derek Harmon, offer distinct skill sets that could address Green Bay's needs using PFF defensive grades, quarterback pressure percentage, and run stop percentage from the 2024 season. Let's break down which defensive tackle might be the best fit. So the contenders, here we go. Walter Nolen. All right, right off the bat. PFF grade in 2024, 88.9 for Walter Nolen. Quarterback pressure percentage, 10%. And they kind of the AI went ahead and threw this into like a roundabout estimate. He may not have had exactly 35 pressures, but the percentage is definitely correct. Okay, 10% pressure rate, run stop percentage, 14%. Scouting report: a dominant 3-tech with elite power and agility at 6'4", 305 pounds, excels at collapsing the pocket, 10% pressure rate, and stuffing runs, 14% stop rate. Leveraging a quick first step and strong hands, his 88.9 grade reflects All-American consistency, making him a disruptive force against both the run and the pass. Shout out to H.E. Solder for the super chat. Those 3 substantially better defensive tackles than what you got. Really, I'd like to hear them, Solder. Well, who are the other defensive tackles that are better than those 3?
I think that's what he's saying.
No, he's saying that
he's saying those are the 3.
Those 3. Okay. Oh, I got what you're saying.
He's saying Grant, Nolen, and
great for the Packers roster.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. My bad. I misread that. From Kentucky, that happens a lot. So,
I would agree, right? I mean, that's completely. A huge drop off once you get to like Darius Alexander and Tyleek Williams.
I don't think so, Tim.
Oh, really, Al? What do you think, Al?
We had a little practice yesterday when we looked at guys like Peebles and CJ West and my man Thor Griffith. I mean, granted, that's very deep in the draft for Thor, but some of those guys, some of those mid round guys, the reason I've kind of now I'm not saying turn my back on Harmon, but what I've kind of I think I listened to a podcast of Ryan's where he's only got one real year of production. He moved from school, a couple different schools, and really never had any type of production whatsoever. And even the quote unquote year that he had production wasn't that much at all. People are like Chris right there saying Harmon is a slam dunk. I don't know if he is a slam if you look at just the 1 year out of 5. Yeah. If you want to cherry pick that, I think he's a slam dunk, but Walter Nolen was one of the highest recruited guys at that position coming out and has consistently played very well. There's just a little bit of the production scare that I get from Harmon investing in that 20 overall pick. If we can trade back, still get a Harmon or one of those 3 guys or somebody like that, that'd be even better. I'm starting to kind of pull up a little bit and, I've got recency bias. I don't want to just go in and be like, yeah, we got our 3-tech. And then all of a sudden it's like, we don't. So.
Exactly. And the thing with Harmon, like you were saying, he hasn't been as consistent. This year he had a higher quarterback pressure rate, which we'll get to here in just a second. But he also had a bunch of missed tackles. Like, he's not good at bringing down the ball carrier either. Like, you can get there. That's great. You guys remember that with Devontae Wyatt, Tim? I think it was not last season, but the season before, we were like, damn, he gets in the backfield, but he always whiffs on the tackle, right? That's something that Derek Harmon has had a problem with too. I heard Ryan talking about that as well. So, Tim, anything else you want to add to Walter Nolen here, or anything that H.E. Solder said there in terms of, I believe these would, maybe not year 1, it wouldn't be a huge upgrade, probably, but maybe not. But boy, by year 2 or 3, you expect one of these 3 guys to probably be better than what you're at right now,
Yeah, like you said, I mean, we're basically writing off Mason Graham. We're probably not in the mix for him. So I would go Nolen, then Grant, and then Harmon would be my next 3 in that order. And I do think that, to Jacob's point, there is depth at the position in the draft. I think there's significant enough of a drop between those 3 and then the next batch that, hopefully Walter Nolen is the guy. If not, maybe Derek Harmon falls in our lap somehow.
Yeah. All right. Next on the list, Kenneth Grant, PFF defensive grade, 83.7. All right. Quarterback pressure percentage, only 8%. Run stop percentage, 10%. Okay. Now that 8%, keep in mind, he is more of a nose tackle. However, he played more 3-tech than he did 1 and nose, right? Because obviously teams play in their nickel more than their base, simply because teams are in 11 personnel more than their typical 21, 12, or 13. So Obviously, Kenneth Grant, a little bit bigger body. He moves really, really good laterally. There's no two ways about that. But here's his scouting report. A massive nose tackle, 6'3", 340, built to anchor against double teams. His 10% run stop rate highlights his ability to clog lanes and hold ground, while an 8% pressure rate shows surprising bursts for his size. At 83.7, he's a run-first specialist with growing pass rush potential. So who did we lose? TJ Slayton, right? It almost feels like that dude, I can see where someone would make a case that, hey, this might be the guy. That way you can kind of fill TJ Slayton's role of that run stuffer while he, brings on that pass rush skill. Obviously, 8% was 2% better than Kenny Clark last year. So he would already, if that were to translate to the game, to the NFL, he would be a better pass rusher than Kenny. I don't think he would once he got on the NFL field, at least right now. What do y'all think about Kenneth Grant here?
I mean, I kind of like what Ron says here. He goes, he has the most upside of this crew, in his opinion. I'm not sure if that's overall upside or if it's more to, I mean, if you want just a replacement for TJ Slayton, a guy that's going to be a steady Eddie in the middle there to stop and plug up that run game, I think that Kenneth Grant is probably that guy that would ascend to the top of the pack. If you're looking for somebody that's more of a pass rusher type, that's going to be a little more kind of twitchy, I'd say Derek Harmon. If you want the all-around best of both, I go Walter Nolan. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
I like it. Tim, what about you, big dog?
Yep, I'm co-signing all of that. I probably want Walter Nolan first, but yeah, if we're looking for that run stopper, replace TJ, I'd go Kenneth Grant for sure. Mm-hmm. But I feel like Walter Nolan's probably the best bet out of the batch.
Yeah, and not only are you just replacing TJ Slayton, who obviously didn't play a whole lot of snaps last year, but if we're moving on from Kenny next year, what has Kenny been doing? He's been playing one tech. He's been playing nose. Many people don't even understand that. He was the one that was predominantly playing nose last year and occupying those double teams. So if Kenneth Grant, you bring him on this year, Kenny continues to start. If we end up moving on from Kenny next year, or if he agrees to restructure that contract, great. You got two really strong noses. Well, Kenneth Grant could potentially step in there for Kenny if he leaves, and now you've got Devontae Wyatt if you decide to bring him back. Devontae Wyatt was hands down your best pass rush, interior pass rusher last year. Hands down. There's no questions. I think it was like a 9% pressure rate at defensive tackle, right? So that kind of bends right into that mold of, okay, this dude will step right in. Now, that's not to say that Carl Brooks and Kobe Wooden didn't play any nose last year. They did. There was times that when Kenny came off the field, they put them in a one tech. Devontae Wyatt, the majority of the time, did play a 3 or a 4 tech, like a 4-hour 3 tech, or even a whatever, maybe even straight up on a 2 at certain points of the season. So I can see both sides of the coin. I don't think either of these three guys are bad picks. I want to be very, very clear. If someone disagrees with us and says, hey, Derek Harmon's the dude, I can see where you can make that case, right? So next is Derek Harmon, PFF grade 83.9, quarterback pressure percentage 16%. So he's got the highest pressure percentage of all these players that we mentioned, right? Run stop percentage 10%. Scouting report, a relentless pass rusher, 6'5", 320, with a 16% pressure rate, leading all defensive tackles with 55 pressures. His length and explosiveness disrupts quarterbacks, while a 10% run stop rate shows solid run defense. Graded at an 83.9. He's a high upside 3 tech with a knack for big plays. Now, again, the big thing that Ryan was talking about was the missed tackle percentage. I was trying to get PFF pulled up so I could give you the exact number, but that seems to be his weak spot. Is you can get into the backfield, but what we always talk about, how you arrive at confrontation, Tim, determines how you handle confrontation. Yeah. And if you don't arrive under control and you miss tackles, that didn't do us a damn bit of good. You getting in the backfield if you're just going to whiff on the tackle. And that's what we've seen with Devontae Wyatt the first 2 years in the league. He seemed to fix that a little bit last year, but still not where it needs to be. But what do you think about Derek Harmon here, Tim? Anything you want to add to that scouting report there?
I think to your point, that comes with experience, right? So when you're dealing with a guy, coming out of the draft, if that's already a concern, it's something that you have to try and coach out of his game, right? We've seen it with not just edge rushers, but we've seen it with our linebackers, and we've seen it with defensive tackles too. You get the penetration, you get the rush, and you're not poised and you're not under control, and you wash yourself out of the play. And it's frustrating. I mean, we can talk about old Tommy Cutlets, right? Lighten us up. And, we make good quarterbacks look great, bad quarterbacks look good when you're over pursuing or you're not disciplined in your pass rush. So, yeah, so you gotta keep that in mind. But Derek Harmon, to me, like, to echo your point, Clayton, like, I don't think either one of these three are bad picks. I think we all have our preferences or our favorites, but if you're talking about taking defensive line in the first round, you can't go wrong with these guys, any of them, honestly, at this point.
You know what? To kind of get on the Derek Harmon defense case right here, when I pulled up his little bit of a deep diver grades here, so he was in Michigan State for the first 3 years. First two did not go necessarily great, but he did not have a lot of snaps. The second year he did, and he had a 59.8. Just didn't look like he performed well. It might have been a little bit too large for him. But the next year in 2023, he played almost 500 snaps. He had an 83.9 grade, run defense grade of 77.4. Again, the tackling grade was horrible. Or I'm sorry, this was last year in 2024 at Oregon. 83.9, run defense grade of 77.4, but the tackling grade of 29.8. A pass rush grade of 88.8. Again, we love that, but the tackling grade, guys, he had a 27% missed tackle rate. Yikes. 27% missed tackle rate.
Put that into perspective, Jacob. Out of 100 plays, let's say there's 100 times, right, that he had an opportunity to make a tackle.
That's 27.
What's that?
That's close to 27.
That's a lot, right?
That's a lot.
Could you imagine? I mean, seriously, could you imagine Packers Nation seeing that dude miss tackles every game in the backfield, and he's your 23rd overall pick? Like, I don't hate the pick because, like Chris and many others said, look, we need a pass rush, but man, that's huge. I'm glad you pulled that up.
Yeah, so. And the pass rush is he's consistent. His pass rush grades all through high school or college, even when he was playing limited snaps, the lowest grade he's ever had is a 68. But that tackle grade has been consistent as well. The best he ever had was 2021, a 72. Otherwise, it's been a 40, a 55, and a 29. That is real bad, guys. Real bad.
That's cheeks. That is cheeks.
That's cheeks.
Yeah. All right. Moving along. So we just put a little comparison summary here. So here it is stacked up against one another. PFF grade. Walter Nolen has the highest PFF grade at 88.9. Derek Harmon is second at 83.9. Kenneth Grant at 83.7. However, if you do look at the consistency factor, Derek Harmon, we just told you, not near as consistent across the last 3 years in college as where Walter Nolen was. Quarterback pressure percentage. Walter Nolen at 10%, Kenneth Grant at 8%. Derek Harmon leads the way at 16%. That's a big margin there too. Boy, here's the other thing. When someone has a high quarterback pressure percentage, but also a high missed tackle percentage, they're playing out of control. You guys remember on Chalk Talk, it wasn't this year. I feel like it got better, but the year before this last season, it was 2023, how Devontae Wyatt was just whopping people out of the play, his own teammates, because he wasn't playing under control. He was just completely out of control. That's what you typically see when you get those two metrics, those two stats merging together. And again, it's about collectively, how can the defense play as one? And when you got one dude who's literally rushing into other people's rush lanes, that's a big no-no.
That was Brenton Cox Jr. coming out of college. He had no discipline. He was just a freaking bat out of a cave, just a shot out of a cannon. Like you said, didn't care if he messed up anybody else's progression, their stunts, or whatever their progress was. He was A to B. And I feel like that's the biggest part of his game, where they've at least coached the selfishness out of him. So I wonder if we could do that with a guy, if that's the biggest knock on these guys. I think that maybe could be a little slice of humble pie when they get into the league.
And to defend Kenneth Grant here for just a second, when you're playing that nose, you're getting eat up by double teams a lot more. So when you see his run stop percentage of 10%, you're not necessarily expecting the nose to make the run stop. They're typically occupying a double team. They're eating two bodies so other guys can come in and make the play. That's much different than Derek Harmon and Walter Nolen both. Run stop percentage. Walter Nolen leads the way at 14%, Kenneth Grant at 10%, Derek Harmon at 10%. So they tied out there. I was trying to pull up. I've got Derek Harmon's pulled up, Jacob. I was trying to get to Kenneth Grant's because I wanted to see what his missed tackle rate was. Actually, I think I finally got it to pop here. Maybe
you said you want Grant's or Nolan's?
Grant's first here.
Okay.
I've got it right. I think I've got it pulled up now. I want to take a quick glance and see, because he may be just as bad. You know what I mean? In terms of missed tackle rate, I don't think he is, but let's take a quick glance here.
No, that's pretty
freaking
good.
Cow.
Bruh.
Here's the guy.
5.9% missed tackle rate for Kenneth Grant.
Yeah, his whole college career is an average of 4.6%. And that's substantial snaps, guys. I'm talking, wow. Okay, that just swayed a little bit more into his position for me there.
And that's why it's important to look at the whole picture, not just fall in love with one statistic, one metric, right? I'm going to Walter Nolan now, and let's see what his missed tackle rate was, because I feel like he was really, really solid as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kenneth Grant has a lesser one. Look at here. Yeah, Walter Nolan.
Wow.
4.3%.
Did you look at 2023 and 2022?
Mm-hmm.
What the heck? Yeah, 2023, he had almost 400 snaps. He has a missed tackle rate of 0.
That's crazy.
He didn't miss a tackle in 2023, almost playing 400 snaps.
Here's the guy.
And notice we haven't mentioned sacks, right? We haven't talked about sacks. Listen, sacks are important, don't get me wrong, but when you got to – it's how the cake is baked, right? Like, how are they getting those sacks is important. You could have a guy who gets 8 sacks but only have a 6% pressure rate, and then you got a guy who finishes with 6 sacks and he's got a 15% pressure rate, right? There's a lot that goes into that as well. So, all right, so here's what the AI says, breaking it down. Defensive PFF grade. Nolan's 88.9 edges out Harmon's 83.9 and Grant's 83.7, signaling all-around excellence. Harmon's close second suggests high impact, while Grant's grade fits his run-first role. Quarterback pressure percentage, right? Harmon's 16% stands alone, doubling Grant's 8% and outpacing Nolan's 10%. His 55 pressures dwarf the others, making him a quarterback's nightmare. Run stop percentage. Nolan's 14% leads, with Grant and Harmon tied at 10%. Nolan's 42 stops highlights his run stuff and dominance, while Grant's 35 stops anchor the line. All right, so it's fit for the Packers. The Packers' 2024 defense struggled to generate consistent interior pressure, often relying on edge rushers, and face issues stopping the run in key moments. At pick 23, the choice depends on priority. Walter Nolan is the safest pick. All right, I won't go back through the stats. It's just going to repeat them. It says he's a plug-and-play starter who could anchor the line for years, though his draft stock might push him higher than 23. Derek Harmon, the pass rush specialist. It says I'll just read the whole thing. His 16% pressure rate, 55 pressures, could transform the Packers' ability to disrupt quarterbacks from the inside, pairing perfectly with their edge threats at 83.9 and 10% run stops. He's no slouch against the run either. Ideal if pressure is the priority. I think that's why many people are picking Derek Harmon, is because they're prioritizing pressure. And listen, that's not a silly way to think. I'm just going to tell you right now. Based off what we've seen last year, the run defense improved tremendously, right? Still got a long way to go, but they improved a lot. You would say the run defense was the strength of the defense, obviously, compared to the pass rush. So that kind of makes sense why someone would want to go with Derek Harmon. It doesn't mean that either of these three are a bad pick. It's just simply, what are you looking for specifically? I'm looking for the safest pick. You guys have heard me say that over and over and over. Yeah. I am boring in that regard. I don't want to roll the dice. I want the dude who's going to do both well and hopefully do it well for the next 10 years. That's what I'm looking for. So the verdict says, if Walter Nolan is available at 23, he's the pick. His blend of run stopping and pressure with an elite 88.9 grade screams cornerstone defensive tackle. However, his stock may place him in the top 15, leaving Derek Harmon as the more realistic option. Harmon's 16% pressure rate and 83.9 grade offer immediate pass rush juice, addressing a glaring 2024 weakness, while his 10% run stops hold the line. Kenneth Grant at 83.7 feels like a day 2 fit unless the Packers trade back. That is not correct there, sir, in the AI department.
I was going to say.
Yeah, but for pick 23, Derek Harmon edges out as the best balance of need and availability, but keep an eye on Nolan if he slides. Gutekunst can't go wrong with either. They're both upgrades over the 2024 interior. So there you go. It's saying Walter Nolan probably not going to be there. If Derek Harmon's there, of the three, that's the dude to go with. So it does kind of feel like I'm drifting away from Kenneth Grant, even though our board suggested otherwise for a long time, right? Kenneth Grant is now in the 19 spot. He's still higher than Derek Harmon. So he's in the 19 spot, and Derek Harmon's in the 25 spot. So, all right, based off all that, any final thoughts on that topic right there, gents?
I definitely agree with the first part of the verdict. If Walter Nolan's available at 23, he's the pick. That's the guy.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Tim, do you think you would still go Kenneth Grant if it is between him and Derek Harmon, or do you after reading this article, seeing the kind of everything compared?
Oh, I mean, if it's between Harmon and Grant, yeah, I would. Yeah. I'd probably lean towards Kenneth Grant.
Would you? Okay.
But I'd want Walter Nolan or bust for sure in the first round if we can.
Yeah, definitely. And if both of those guys are gone, if both Walter Nolan and Kenneth Grant are gone, I'm okay with Harmon. Right.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like any one of these guys is going to help our football team, but clearly we have a preference. And, not only is Walter Nolan the safest pick, but I think he's probably got the highest ceiling out of the three.
Got it. Good stuff, man. All right. That's going to do it for that segment. Now let's hit, I think we got some breaking news here from Coach Lynn, don't we, boys? Somebody hit that for me real quick. Is that breaking news down there, Jacob, that you marked? There it is. Go ahead, Jacob. Take over, sir.
Coach Lynn says Pack has met with a Senate today. That Senate's name is a man named Jacob Bear from Eric at Arkansas State.
Oh, boy.
It's pronounced Arkansas State.
Halfway there.
Marcus Goldenberg with breaking news.
That needs to be our correspondent. We need to create an AI voice, have you guys record that, let them completely mimic it, right? And we need to have a correspondent where I could just top something in to break news like that. That would be awesome.
Love it.
Jacob Bear from Arkansas State.
Yeah, let me take a quick gander here. I don't know if we got him.
I can't find him anywhere.
I heard he was related to the Bear family. Therefore, it's a.
Wait, was that that wasn't a top 30 visit, was it, guys? Did anybody hear if that was a top 30? Because they've already met with him once it's probably the Senior Bowl that they met with him. We've got him in the 110 spot. Boy, his PFF grades. Woo! 2023 was second at his position. 2024 he was seventh at his position. What? Yeah.
Who is this
guy?
RAS
of 8.
I can't even find him on PFF.
He's not on their big board.
That's crazy.
Yep, I agree. He was 284 when we took it down the consensus big board, but obviously he is the PFF grades shoot him right towards the top there out of Arkansas State. So, Coach Lynn, could you confirm, did they say it was a top 30? I could go to Twitter, but you probably answer it. It said top 30. There you go, boys. Let's go.
Look at that.
Oh boy, that's an interesting one. So maybe we do go center, right?
Arkansas.
I'm gonna give him the old target real quick.
So you did find him? I can't find him anywhere.
Yeah, he's not on the PFF big board. I had to look through the college grades, and that's where I found him. He was 59th at his position in 2022, second in 2023, and seventh in 2024. Matter of fact, let me just throw this up here real quick, and we'll show you where he's at on our board. As you can see him right here, and we're going to go ahead and hit him with the target there. So he's a top 30 visit. That's pretty cool, man.
What?
Yep, so we got him at 110. What's wrong?
Big E not moving to center, or?
Oh, they don't plan on starting that dude out of Arkansas State, I don't believe. I think what's probably going to happen there is
I was joking. Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, if they go and draft him, it's kind of like what happened with Jason Kelsey in Philly, right? They drafted his replacement, and he sat for a couple years behind Jason Kelsey. Imagine if he could sit a couple years behind Elton Jenkins and then bang, maybe step right in. Plus, you got Jacob Monk, right? So
that approach works at more position groups other than quarterback. You can do that across the board, find success for sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I trust Coach Lynn here. Why Margin Cron say Senior Bowl? Are you saying he met with him at the Senior Bowl,
or did he have a good Senior Bowl?
All right, I'm going to Twitter. You guys talk to the chat for a minute. I gotta see if I can find this top 30 visit real quick. You guys go right ahead.
Greg Rice is saying Jacob Bear, inside offensive lineman, ranked 309. I still can't find it. I can't find it nowheres.
There's Easton Butler. Yep, we got it right here. The Packers are hosting Arkansas State center Jacob Bear on the top 30 visit. Coach Lynn said, "How dare you knuckleheads doubt me? I'm the coach in here." So there you go. Belt the ass right there. All right, cool. Let's
Okay.
That's interesting, man. That's kind of a curveball. I like it though. I like it.
It's a
And
curveball.
I'd like to see his measurables too. Like I wonder what he measures out at. Like, you think he could play interior offensive line across the board? Maybe. I'm trying to think of a situation where if he came in and it was like gangbusters, he starts at center like Tim. You know, I know he wasn't saying that, but just like he mentioned, what would that look like? That would be Rasheed Walker at left tackle, Elton Jenkins at left guard, Jacob Bayer at center.
Aaron
Morgan.
Banks at right guard.
Oh yeah, you got to go Banks.
Yep. Zach Tom at right tackle. Build the wall.
Jordan Morgan's got nowhere to go.
Now, let me just say this. There have been people talking. I disagree with it because I don't have anything to back it up. You haven't seen it yet at the NFL level. But people are saying, what if Jordan Morgan is the left tackle of the future and they choose not to pay Rasheed Walker top tackle money, right? That could be if you go and get somebody like Tim. If you go and get somebody like this, hey, all right, he steps in and, and can play center fairly early. Not even the first year, right? Elton play it the first year, and then the second year, move it around to where Jordan Morgan takes over at left tackle. That's a way you could save on cap big time right there if you think Jordan Morgan could. That's a great point, Brambo. They met with him at the Senior Bowl and now a top 30 visit. So I'm going to see if I can pull Jacob Bayer up real quick. You guys keep
this is the good content.
I'm going to just say, honestly, I'm just calling them all offensive linemen because it doesn't matter what position they play.
It's true, Tim.
It does not matter. I mean, this guy's a center. I wouldn't be surprised if they try him as a backup tackle or something. We take, tackles and make them guards. We take guards and make them tackles. We take centers and make them tackles. And I don't mean specifically just the Packers. It seems to be kind of like a trend in the NFL. Like it doesn't matter where you play on the line in college. It's where they see you fitting in to their offense in the NFL. So, you're looking for the best available at your pick and, center, guard, whatever, interior, outside, it doesn't matter where are you going to put them because, we were excited about Jordan Morgan last year. And as soon as he landed in Green Bay, they stuck him on the interior immediately, despite playing tackle throughout college. So I think at this point, we just have to look at guys as just, O-linemen, really. Look at the build and look at the measurables.
Greg I says, AI said college career. Bayer started his college football journey at Lamar University before transferring to Arkansas State. He has 46 career starts at center, showcasing his consistency and durability. Here's his PFF card. 2024 at 81.9. That was seventh best center in all of college football.
Wow.
You go back 1 year prior, he was second highest graded at 82.9. Consistency right there. And it looks like I was going to try to pull up. Let's see if it may go to another page here. So you guys can't see this yet, but I'm going to pull it up in just a second. I want to see make sure his snaps were all center. It sounds like they were, but I just want to double check. Sometimes AI gets a little goofy. It's a little bit goofy. What do you think about those, Jacob? Get you out of there, man. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's honestly, I'm a little bit upset that I can't find this guy. I don't understand how you can find him and I can't find him. I don't understand that. But anyways, those grades are amazing. Even if you go back to all the way to 2022, 69.6, that's nothing to shake a stick at. Heck, his first year even 60.1. I mean, that I can't be mad at that. Pass block rate at 81.9, run block rate at 81.4. I get right here. Bates maybe says suffered a torn ACL during the spring practices in 2024, but was able to return to action by the second game of the season, marking one of the fastest full ACL tear recoveries in college football history.
Here's a guy.
That sounds like somebody who's tougher than Buckets Goldenberg. Am I right?
Sure is.
That's awesome. Hey, keep an eye out, boys. Jacob Bayer, he's on the radar.
6'3", 310. He's built like Buckets Goldenberg, too.
Seriously. Yeah. Big caboose on that guy.
Like that.
All right, yeah, and it looks like he started at center, all of last year. There wasn't any – I just wanted to double-check because sometimes, a guy will be listed as something. Okay, he played 3 games as a left guard, what have you. But at 6'3", 310, you might be able to move him around a little bit. I don't know. But That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. It does sound like a Packer, though, doesn't it? Like someone.
Well, and apparently he does rock a mullet, and Ron give us the real details. It's a natural mullet. He often displays it with a cowboy hat.
Like this guy right here?
Either way.
Let's go find this cat real quick. Let's see if we can find a Jacob Bay. Oh, my God. You kidding me? I'm telling you, these are the guys who used to babysit me, boys. I'm just telling you right now. What do you see there? Well, that's the Instagram post. I don't know if we should pull that up or not. Let me see here. Let me make sure it's clean here. It's making me log in. Dang it. Let me just screenshot it. Oh, in just a second. You guys are going to want to see this. I know what he was talking about now. This picture is intense right here. Keep talking, Jake.
Greg Rice says another breakdown of him says Bear is projected as a mid to late round pick in the 2025 NFL draft and could provide depth and competition for an NFL offensive line. I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I had not found this guy yet. And it says right here, challenges Bears face some challenges, including a torn ACL during the spring practice of 2024. And he made a remarkable recovery and returned to action by week 2. Again, just shows the guy's absolute durability and the resilience there. That's really crazy timetable to think that he actually came back and was able to come back and score as well as he did. Let's go, man. Let's go.
That could be why he's kind of hopping on the radar here. I mean, like you said, look at the grades. He jumps off the chart. So, regardless of where you want to plug and play him on your line, I mean, you're getting a pretty solid prospect here.
Yeah, I mean, this is just screaming.
It's going to be a little bit blurry, boys, but this is the best I can do. I got to get rid of our mustache guy. Sorry, Tim. We're out of space again. It just is what it is. I want mustache, right?
I found fun.
Super Troopers is so good. Look at this guy right here.
Oh, yeah.
The future.
Mr. Steal Your Girl. That's what's up.
You imagine him and Sean Ryan next to each other. Let's go, dude. We got Nazi Ray and Cowboy Ray here. You gotta love it, man. All right. Well, we got completely off track there, but I'm glad. That's good information. Thank you so much for that, Coach Lynn. Breaking news right here on the show. You need to get out of coaching and get into reporting, bro. That's what you need to be doing. All right. So we hit Jacob Bayer. Right. We talked about all the important stuff there. We hit defensive tackle. Y'all ready to talk some wide receivers, boys? Y'all ready to talk? Which one do y'all want first? Do you want to break down the drop rate? Or would you rather have what's his name? Trey Harris's scouting report? Which would you rather have?
I was honestly going to say Trey Harris. I don't know why.
Let's do Trey Harris first, and then we'll come back to the drop rate. I think that's a good way to handle it.
And by drop rate, not our receiving core last year, right? We're talking about correct. Drop rate. Okay.
That is correct, Tim. Yes, sir. And, of course, it reset. Let's give it a second. All right, we good, I think. Yeah, all right. So here we go. I just put up a little write-up on Trey Harris earlier, and this was fun, man. He was a fun. I went back and watched several of his highlight reels and everything. This was Bucket Skoldenberg with the reporting.
Bucket Skoldenberg.
So Trey Harris out of Ole Miss, here's what it says, and I try to keep it as simple as possible. The Packers under GM Brian Gutekunst target athletic wide receivers with a relative athletic score of 8 or higher, blah, 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 blah. Here's the blueprint again. Quick reminder, height 5'11", okay, weight 187, 40-yard dash 4.6. However, they typically go 4.5 and under, right? 10-yard split 1.6, 20-yard split 2.6, vertical jump 35 inches or better, arm length 31 to 32 inches, hand size 9 to 10 inches, and then wingspan at least 76 inches there, right? Here's Trey Harris's combine card. 6'2", 205, ran a 4.5, 4.40 with a 1.5, 10-yard split, 2.6, 20-yard split, 38.5-inch vertical. So he knocked that out of the park. Arm length, you're good to go at 31 7/8. Hand size, 9 5/8. Wingspan, 77 1/8 of an inch. Says Harris's 4.5, 4.40 isn't the flashiest, but his 38.5-inch vertical and 10-foot 5-inch broad jump showcase serious explosiveness, earning him a 9.19 RAS, well above the Packers' 8 cutoff. So we talked about the speed, right? The explosiveness. We talked about it. The agility is the only thing that's really unknown. So the Packers like a sub 7.0 3-cone and a sub 4.3 shuttle. Harris didn't run these at the combine, but his tape shows good short area quickness for his size. We'll assume a 6.9 to 7.0 3-cone, solid enough to pass pending the pro day confirmation. right in the range of the size, obviously at 6'2", 205. Mostly wide. Harris played 682 snaps wide, but he still had 172 in the slot. So a little bit of versatility there at a 4-to-1 ratio. He's a boundary weapon with slot versatility, aligning with Green Bay's adaptable deployment. So his top 2024 performance, okay, it wasn't against like this crazy good opponent, but listen to this. Trey Harris's best performance in the 2024 college football season came against Georgia Southern on September 21st, 2024. He torched the Eagles for 11 catches for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns, averaging 20.5 yards per catch. This monster outing highlighted his dominance as Ole Miss go-to target, shredding the defense with size, hands, and precision. The Rebels rolled 52-13, and Harris's career-high yardage stole the show.
How about these hands?
Career PFF grades. Tim, we always talk about players getting better every year, right?
Yep.
Listen to this. In 2021, he was at Louisiana Tech, 77.5. In 2022 at Louisiana Tech, he increased it to 77.8. In 2023, he transfers to Ole Miss to the SEC from Louisiana Tech, 88.5. His first SEC season, he delivered 985 yards and 8 touchdowns with a big jump in efficiency and impact. Then in 2024 at Ole Miss, 89.7. He increased again.
Yep.
Through a standout season, Harris piled up 987 yards and 6 touchdowns, proving his consistency despite injury setbacks. All right, it says verdict above the line. Harris's explosiveness and size are elite. His speed fits and his metrics soar past the Packers' 35-inch vert and RAS of 8+ standards. He could be a fit at pick 54, physical, versatile, and ready to ignite the offense alongside Watson and Reed. His 4.54 40 might nudge him behind pure speedsters, but the full package screams Packers wide receiver. What y'all think about Mr. Trey Harris? Do you think he'd be worthy of that 54th pick?
Why did he only play 8 games last year?
They said he had it.
Injury.
Yeah. It says right here. Yeah.
That's why I lean towards my guy, Jaden Higgins.
Who, Tim? Say it loud. Say it with your chest.
Jaden Higgins at
All right,
54. Iowa State. Let's go.
There you go.
But no, Trey Harris though is definitely a viable option as well. I'm just kind of being a little sarcastic here, you know. I mean, just because he had, you know, injury issues doesn't mean he's going to carry that with him to the NFL. So you got to look at a guy like this for sure. I would definitely not be upset at all if he became a Packer.
Yeah, and like Drew D points out, you know, college season's only like 11 games, right? You know, not including the playoffs. So, yeah, very good point there. Drew, Jacob, you got anything to add to the Trey Harris talk here, man?
Yeah, I mean, you know, only played 8 games last year, but those games were pretty darn elite. Absolutely crushed it. 89.4 receiving grade, 5.12 yards per route run is insane. Drop rate of only 7.7, contested catch rate of 61.5, and get this, a grade versus man coverage of 95 flat.
Now, what did we struggle with last year, right?
Yep.
A little bit of my end.
Drop passes and man coverage.
And this guy was just a hair off of having 1,000-yard seasons each of the last 3 years. I mean, averaged over 18.3 in 2023, averaged over 17.2 in 2024. All he does is produce. You sign me up. I want
the
him.
best guy around.
Harry Cheese says, hey, why do you got to choose between 2? Are we double dipping here at wide receiver this go around? Listen, I don't think there's a spot on the roster for 2, especially with the addition of Mecole Hardman. Not that you couldn't cut him. I'm sure that's just going to be a 1-year, probably $2 million deal, something like that. But I kind of feel like Goody's going to take 1. That's kind of where it feels like it's at right now. But who knows, man? Could be the case. Could you imagine getting both of those guys? Getting Trey Harris and Jaden Higgins in one draft?
Oh, my goodness. Mecole Hardman's not making the team then. Sorry.
Exactly. All right, that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we're going to return with a really cool wide receiver breakdown on all the wide receiver prospects in the entire draft here in hour 2. We appreciate y'all.